Hi, I'm Rajiv, and today I'm going to share with you my classic fall wardrobe. Last week I was in Connecticut making pots with Guy Wolf, and while we were throwing on the wheel, this man walked into the workroom. He was about 90 years old, we figured from the stories he was telling about fighting in various wars. And while he was talking, I was just drawn to what he was wearing, because he was dressed in a way that could have made him equally as fashionable in 1950 as he was today. This is my inspiration for how I dress and how I like to dress. Classic, timeless clothing that doesn't move and change with trends in fashion. And the fall, for me, is kind of my favorite time of year for getting dressed, because the summer's over, short shorts, tank tops, those get put away. The winter is not quite here. And this in-between time for me just kind of excites me when it comes to pulling things out of my closet. So I'm going to share with you the things that I consider classic, timeless pieces of clothing that are almost equally as applicable to women as they are for men. And I'm going to start with shirts. The shirts that I wear in the fall are two main things that are kind of classic fall shirts. Thick checked shirts. So these are cotton, but they're thicker. And anything in a plaid or a check kind of never goes out of style. And these three are ones that I've had for quite a while. This shirt is about 4 years old. These shirts I think I bought in 2005, so 19 years ago. And these shirts are Brooks Brothers Boys. They're a cotton shirt that's a non-iron shirt, and they have really held up over the years. This one's a J. Crew shirt that's a thick cotton, equally as good quality. And this is kind of the base of my fall wardrobe. I'll put on a plaid shirt, and I'll put things on top of it. And sometimes you'll see almost the whole thing. Sometimes you'll just see the collar and the cuff. And that man was wearing a plaid shirt, but he was wearing a flannel shirt. So that's the next type of shirt that I love for the fall. It's not only is it checked, but it's the actual type of cotton. It's a thicker, softer flannel. And the flannel for the fall, it not only looks like fall, but it's cozy. There's something about this cloth that is quintessentially fall. So I have flannel shirts in plaid, but I also have solid flannel shirts like these. And here's a thinner, finer flannel shirt, and here's a lush, thick one. I love flannel for the fall. And then there is admittedly a third category of shirt that is a sort of in between from shirt and jacket, and that's a wool shirt. So this one right here, this is actually not wool. This is thick, really thick cotton, a really thick flannel. And I wear this on really cold days in the fall. Sometimes I'll have a t-shirt under this and I'll just wear this on top. Sometimes I put a jacket over it, but this kind of functions as a jacket. And it's in this fire engine red, which I just think is so classic. Like, to me, this is never going to go out of style. This I picked up 2 days ago, and so it's a new acquisition, but this is a very, very special wool flannel shirt, because guess what? The cloth was hand woven by my friend Deborah in Toronto on her loom. Deborah went to a farm. She found the sheep that she liked specifically for weaving flannel. The sheep were shorn. She took the wool to a mill, Allora Fibers, and she had them spin the wool to her specification, and then she wove this flannel cloth by hand, and she sent this to me, I think 3 years ago. And I was waiting to find a shirt maker here in New York that I trusted to make a shirt. And I finally found the shirt maker, Sago Shirts. And I was measured and fitted, and this arrived, which I love so much. A lot of people don't like wearing wool against their skin because they say it's itchy, or they say they're allergic to it. But I have a religious association with wool. I've been spinning wool since I was a teenager, and I don't mind wool right up against my skin. If you are one of those people that you just don't like the feel of wool, you can wear something underneath this, like even a high-collared cotton shirt, and then this can go over top of it. The wonderful thing about a pure wool shirt is that it's so warm, but you're not going to sweat as much in this as you would in something that's synthetic, as you would in a wool blend, like something that's wool and nylon, or just acrylic. Sometimes when I'm looking at shirts in a thrift store, I'm sorting through and I'll come across something like this and I'll get really excited. So the first thing I do is I look at the cloth, and that's my initial source of what I'm drawn to. The second thing I do, whether it's in a thrift store or in a new clothing store, is I look at what it's made out of. So I go from this immediately inside to the content of the fibers. And often I'll find a shirt like this that's just pure acrylic, and I stay away from those because synthetic fibers don't breathe like natural fibers. And if you're prone to sweating, you're really not going to sweat if you're wearing this with a cotton shirt underneath, hardly at all. This will keep you warm, but it breathes. I love this so much. Deborah, thank you again for weaving this cloth. Deborah has not seen this. This is the debut of this woolen shirt. So very, very exciting for me. Trousers or pants. They don't say pants in England because pants refer to underwear. So you have to be very careful about where you say pants. If you're in England and you're sending your dry cleaning out, if you're staying at the hotel, don't say I have a pair of pants. Say I have a pair of trousers. Little tip. Classic fall staples, blue jeans. These blue jeans that I'm wearing right now, this is Japanese denim that's indigo dyed. It's raw denim, and they're made in Canada, United Dry Goods. I love these jeans so much. I get them when I go to Toronto. There's a wonderful men's clothing store on Queen Street West called Sydney's, and Sydney's carries this brand. I kind of love that they're made in Canada, but that's not why I wear them. I wear them because they fit really well and they're really good quality and they wear in. I wear my jeans out because I ride my bike everywhere, and I love that the jeans kind of disintegrate and degrade over the years, and they get holes in them, and I patch the holes, and they just kind of look better and better with age. So jeans will always be fashionable to me. And then the other thing about a fall wardrobe when it comes to trousers, which is like this fabric always just makes me so warm and fuzzy inside. Since I was a little boy, my mom would buy corduroy trousers for me. Corduroy is such a wonderful classic fabric. The man that came into the workshop in Connecticut, he was wearing navy blue corduroy pants that were thick corduroy. So corduroy is, you can find corduroy now. It's come back into style in terms of being carried at a lot of stores. And while it's out there, get it because it's available. Corduroy, people were wearing corduroy in the 1800s, and corduroy trousers they're just so versatile. You can pair them with so many things. I love this color of corduroy, this kind of tan caramel color. Another trouser that's great for the fall in this color is chinos. I don't have any chinos, admittedly. They don't really look good on me. So I've just figured that when I try things on, like I really know when I put something on what's flattering, and chinos are not. So they're just not a part of my wardrobe. I just don't feel comfortable in them, and I feel like I don't look good in them. So I don't force that on my wardrobe. But corduroy pants, I love corduroy pants. They're the kind of trousers that I'll wear when I want to dress up in the fall. Like if I'm going to Thanksgiving dinner somewhere, I'll wear corduroy pants, a plaid shirt, and then some kind of sweater. Which brings me to the next subject, which is the sweater. And for the sweater, I need to get my stool, because the sweaters, we call them sweaters here. In the UK, they would call them jumpers. Why they call them jumpers, I don't know. I mean, who knows? Someone knows, and I'm sure someone will leave a comment. Okay, let me get the various jumpers, sweaters out. And I'm pulling out the things that adhere to this mandate of being kind of classic fall. So you may notice that the color scheme is kind of similar. The fall, for me, the fall harkens feelings of the leaves changing color, things going from green to red and orange, rust and brown. And I love those colors. Like these are two of my favorite sweaters. They're so old. I bought these when I bought those plaid shirts. They're from Brooks Brothers Boys back in 2005. And they have really held up over the years. This is a Fair Isle style sweater. Pure wool, lamb's wool with these leather buttons. So this is one of my staples in the fall. Again, this could have been worn in 1950 and looked great. I wear it today and look great, feel great. It's pure wool, so again, it breathes. I love these sweaters so much. So these are kind of heavier. In terms of a lighter sweater, which I also wear in the fall, I love cashmere sweaters, light cashmere sweaters. And the ivory colored cashmere sweater, I would say, is a fall wardrobe staple for both men and women. An ivory colored cashmere sweater looks great with blue jeans. It looks great with chinos or corduroy trousers. If you ride horses, they look great with the riding pants. So cashmere sweater. I have a few cashmere sweaters. I love this as kind of the classic, and every now and then I'll pull out the Rupert the Bear red sweater. That's what I think of when I wear this red sweater. It's bright red. But when I have a jacket over top of this, it's a pop of color that just makes me happy. Now, the last category of sweater is my favorite sweater, and these are my Ganzis. Admittedly, these are much heavier and thicker, so I would wear these on very cold days in the fall, and these Ganzis are really transitioning into winter. This is what I wear all winter long, almost every single day, and I have 4 or 5 of these now in various patterns. They were all knitted by hand by someone named Marion Brocklehurst, to my size. Here's a simpler Ganzi, and here's what would be considered a Sunday best Ganzi, which would have been worn on Sundays with all this beautiful patterning. And as I said, the Ganzi is a heavy wool sweater, so if it's really cold out, I'll put this on. Sometimes by itself, sometimes with a jacket over top of it. The fall clothing just makes me so happy. And a Ganzi is a style of sweater that fishermen have been wearing for almost 200 years. So how's that for being timeless? I'll also admit that part of the inspiration for my clothing is its connection to some kind of historic reference. If a garment has a historic connection, like blue jeans, workman's fabric, that's the origin of it. I love that. Like, I love that these aren't just pieces of clothing. They have a story and they have a history that's often, if you dive deep, it's very rich, and there's a reason why the things look the way they look. A sweater that's just plain knit is one thing, but when it has cables in it, the cables actually create like raised ridges that hold pockets of air. So as the body's warming up, they fill those pockets of the cable and they insulate the body more than a flat sweater. That's such a beautiful thing. Like, it's a beautiful thing on the sweater, but practically, the aspect of that that's practical is also very beautiful. Jackets. Another great thing about the fall is that sometimes you have to put a jacket on. And I have a little bit of a jacket problem. I love buying jackets, and when I see them, sometimes it's very hard to resist buying a jacket. I'm like, oh, I have to have this. Thus, I end up with lots of jackets. So, my favorite jacket, the one that has survived all of the Marie Kondo cullings of jackets, is this jacket. This is a quilted jacket, and a quilted jacket is a fall staple to me. This specific quilted jacket is a tweed, and the tweed was actually woven by a mill that has become my favorite woolen mill in the world, Abraham Moon and Sons. Abraham Moon has been weaving tweed in Yorkshire since the 1830s. And what's so interesting is that there are companies like Brooks Brothers, I think Banana Republic, like big clothing brands that sometimes do limited runs of clothing using Abraham Moon cloth. So this jacket, again, it's a boy's jacket because I can't fit into the men's size of clothing from some of these brands. This is held up. This is also from 2005, and there is no pilling in the wool. The corduroy looks just as good as it did 19 years ago. The lining, admittedly, completely disintegrated over the years, and I had this relined last year. I know a very good tailor, actually it's at my dry cleaners, that does a fantastic job with this stuff. So I took the cloth to him, I got some silk, which was actually better than the original lining, and look at how beautifully this, you would never know that this was completely relined. But when you love something this much, and there's that thing about buying good quality, you know, the lining's gone, you want to keep the jacket. And for me, I was totally willing to pay for relining the jacket. So, quilted jacket, these are also sometimes called barn jackets. Sometimes you'll see them in a solid color in cotton that's quilted with a contrasting corduroy color, like navy blue. Those I also love. But this is the only kind of quilted barn jacket that I have. A waxed jacket. When it's raining in the fall and when you need to wear something, you can wear a raincoat, but it's often made of plastic. We don't like plastic. I don't like plastic. I don't know how many times I have to say I don't like plastic. I don't want to have it in my house, and I sure don't want to wear it. So, what is the option? Well, what would they have worn in the 1800s? Waxed cotton. And Barbour jackets are kind of very famous for their waxed jackets. I love the Filson waxed jackets. Filson's a brand that's been going since the late 1800s here in the States. Their stuff is such high quality, so beautifully made. And for me, one of the main reasons I love this brand is because I can go into the store for men and they actually have sizes that fit. So this waxed jacket, I love this thing so much. I've seen jackets from Filson that are 20 years old, 30 years old. As they wear, they start to become even more beautiful. And I'm just so looking forward to this thing 20 years from now when it's all worn in. But like, I didn't have to have this altered, and I was shocked that the sleeves are the right length, the body is the right length. So I wear this when it's raining, or when I'm riding my bike and I just need a light jacket. A bomber jacket. Why is it called a bomber jacket? Someone tell me in the comments. Maybe it's related to the war? Probably, I'm gonna guess. This right here is another very lightweight fall jacket that to me is a classic staple. And these bomber jackets, they're quintessentially like just waist length, very simple, a collar like this. This one, the thing I love about this bomber jacket is it's very lightweight, but it's made of exceptional fabric. Bomber jacket, wool bomber jacket, another classic. Now, I am going to talk to you about something that you will not find here in the States unless you make it yourself. I have always wanted a cape. Since I was a little boy, I dreamed of wearing a cape, like most people when they're small and read fairy tales and get enchanted by the fairy tales. You think of going into the fairy tale, and what does one need in a fairy tale? A cape with a big hood. Well, this fantasy was never fulfilled until I moved to Munich. And one day, when I went to Loden, Frey, the very fancy clothing store, I went to the Tracht section. Tracht is the traditional Bavarian clothing that's often worn specifically for Oktoberfest, but for any other kind of Bavarian function, traditional function. Like you would be totally fine wearing your Tracht, lederhosen is Tracht, in a beer hall. So I was looking through the Tracht section and I came across this. And this is my Bavarian pure wool hunting cloak, which I got in Munich. I was so excited when I found this because it's not a costume. It's an actual practical garment that is worn in the mountains when a person is on their horse, when they're hunting. And I put this on in the store, and I was looking at myself in the mirror, and then one of the clerks came over, and he said, "Kann ich Ihnen helfen? Can I help you?" And I said, "Ja, ich habe eine Frage. Was mache ich mit dieser? What do I do with these?" And he said, "Oh, let me show you." And he came over, and he tied this like this, these long straps, tightly. And he said that when you're on your horse, and you're riding on your horse in the mountains, and it's a little too hot, you can very easily go like this and continue riding. And I was like, this is fantastic, because this is actually what I do when I'm on my bike. My bike's kind of like my horse, right? So this thing is so fantastic. I wear this when I'm riding my bike, fall and winter. And the great thing about it is that it's very convenient to have anything underneath. It covers my legs when I'm biking, and if it's really windy, I can put up this hood, big Harry Potter hood, my cape. In German, it's called an Umhang, like something that hangs, but the label said Kotze. And when I told my friends I bought a kotze, they were like, "What? No, you." And then they started laughing. They're like, "You have the wrong word, because kotze means to throw up, means barf." And then I showed them the label, and they're like, "What?" And we all determined that it's probably a very old word, which means to throw, because you throw it off or throw it on. So this is mein kotze. Okay. Lastly, the last jacket. This is another staple, is a trench coat. A trench coat in either the classic khaki color or black. And this trench coat, when I saw this, I tried it on. And then I looked at the fabric content, and I was kind of blown away because I've never seen this before. This is a wool gabardine, but it's a real wool gabardine. And a real wool gabardine, let's find the label, is made out of wool and cotton. So this is what I loved about this, is that the outer fabric is a laine, is wool in French, and coton is cotton in French. 55% wool, 45% cotton. A very lightweight cotton wool, so it is warm, but it's light, and the cloth is so beautiful. It's such, I can feel it's really good quality. I've wanted a trench coat for a long time, but I've stayed away from buying one because everything I tried on was nothing was perfect. And when I tried this one on, I felt that this is the perfect trench coat. My friend Laura has a trench coat and loves it, and we were playing around with all the different ways that you can tie the belt. So currently it's tied just out of the way. And then there are shoes, and the shoes in the fall for me are my classic boots. I now have a new pair of boots, handmade by Roberto Ugolini, leather Chelsea boots, or just a simple plain Australian slip-on boot, and penny loafers. Penny loafers or a boot finishes off the classic fall wardrobe. From me to you, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching.